All right, today we are diving into one of the most incredible manufacturing processes in all of biology. We're going to explore how sperm are made, and not just as a biological function, but as a total marvel of cellular engineering. A microscopic assembly line with a level of complexity and precision that is, well, it's just unbelievable.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? How does the body build one of its most complicated, most specialized cells from scratch? It's a question that takes us deep inside a factory that runs 24/7, with quality control standards that are, frankly, astonishing.
And get this isn't some quick process. We're talking about a journey that takes over 2 months. It involves a whole team of specialized cells working in perfect harmony. And the craziest part, the whole thing kicks off with a single command, from the brain. So let's start our tour right there, at the top.
Yeah, you heard that right. Production doesn't even begin on the factory floor itself. It starts way, way higher up, in the brain. This is the command center, where the initial memos are drafted and sent down the chain, kicking the entire assembly line into gear.
It really is a classic top-down management system. You've got the hypothalamus, which is basically the CEO, sending out a critical hormone memo called GnRH. That memo goes straight to the anterior pituitary. Think of it as the factory's general manager. The manager then issues 2 very specific work orders, luteinizing hormone, or LH, and follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH. These signals travel all the way down to the factory floor, the testes, and tell the workers, all right, it's go time.
Okay, let's head down to where the real action is happening. The hormonal memos have just arrived at the factory floor, and now it's time to meet the 2 highly specialized teams of workers who are responsible for building our final product.
So the workforce here is split into 2 distinct groups. First, you've got the Leydig cells. They get that LH memo, and their one vital job is to produce testosterone. You really got to think of testosterone as the high-octane fuel that powers this entire factory. Without it, nothing runs. Then you have the Sertoli cells. They respond to the FSH memo. These guys are the on-site managers, the nurse cells, located right there on the assembly line, nurturing the developing sperm and making sure everything runs perfectly.
Now, these Sertoli cells do something absolutely incredible. They create one of the most exclusive, protected environments in the entire body. By linking together with these super tight junctions, they form what we call the blood-testis barrier. And this isn't just a wall. It's like a highly secure clean room, a VIP section right in the middle of the factory.
And this barrier is absolutely essential for quality control. For one, it literally hides the developing sperm from the body's own immune system, which would otherwise see them as foreign invaders and attack them. It also blocks out any toxins and lets the Sertoli cells create this perfectly balanced chemical cocktail inside, super concentrated with all that testosterone fuel. It's just a masterpiece of biological security.
So, the command has been given, the fuel is supplied, and the factory is secure. Now it's time to look at the assembly line itself. The whole process is called spermatogenesis, and trust me, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Just let that number sink in for a moment. 74 days. From a single, simple stem cell to a fully functional microscopic swimmer takes about 74 days. That's almost 2.5 months for one of the most detailed transformations in all of biology. And this isn't some boutique one-off operation. This factory is churning out millions of these every single day.
This 74-day journey is broken down into 3 main stages. The first 25 days or so are all about building up the numbers, a massive proliferation where stem cells multiply like crazy to create a huge workforce. Then, the next 25 days are for meiosis, which is the genetic core of the whole process. This is where the cells divide twice to literally cut their genetic instruction manual in half. And in the final stretch, the last 24 days, you get the most dramatic phase, spermatogenesis. This is where these simple round cells get a complete extreme makeover, growing a tail and streamlining their bodies for the mission ahead.
Now, this step is the absolute key to sexual reproduction. Through that special process, meiosis, the chromosome count gets slashed from a full set of 46 down to just 23. This is so critical because it ensures that when a sperm meets an egg, which also has 23 chromosomes, the resulting embryo will have the correct total of 46. It's a perfect halving of the genetic blueprint, and it's essential for creating a new, unique individual.
So, after 74 days of this careful, meticulous construction, a finished product finally rolls off the assembly line. Let's take a closer look at this highly specialized, mission-ready cell.
You can just see it, can't you? The final design is pure function.
Every single component has one purpose, and it's been stripped down to the absolute essentials for its mission: to swim, to find an egg, and to deliver its precious cargo.
If we break it down, you've got three critical sections. The head, that contains the genetic payload, those 23 chromosomes, and it's capped with something called the acrosome, which is basically a little packet of enzymes designed to dissolve the outer layer of an egg. Then there's the midpiece. That's the engine room, just packed with mitochondria that act like tiny batteries, powering the whole journey. And finally, you have the tail, or flagellum. This is the powerful propeller, engineered for movement in a very, very strange environment.
So, how does that tail actually work? It turns out that swimming at a microscopic scale is nothing like swimming in a pool. The physics are completely alien, and the challenges are just immense.
This is the fundamental problem the sperm has to solve. At its tiny size, the viscosity, the stickiness of the fluid all around it is completely dominant. For a sperm, moving through that fluid is like a human trying to swim through honey or molasses.
Physicists have a term for this, a low Reynolds number environment. And what that means, in simple terms, is that momentum is basically irrelevant. You can't just push off and glide. The moment you stop pushing, the viscous drag stops you dead, instantly.
And this is why a simple back and forth flapping motion, like a fish's tail, would be totally useless. You just move forward, then immediately backward, for zero net progress. To move at all, the sperm's tail has to use this complex wave-like or corkscrew motion that essentially screws its way through that sticky fluid, using the viscosity to its advantage. This quote just puts it all into perspective. If a bacterium stops swimming, it will coast for about 0.1 nanometers. That's less than the diameter of a single atom. It just confirms there is absolutely no momentum. Every single millimeter of progress is hard-won, powered by the constant, complex whip of that tail.
So from a simple signal in the brain through a 74-day-long assembly line protected by a biological fortress, all the way to a microscopic machine that has mastered the physics of a viscous world, the creation of a single sperm is an absolute epic of biology. It reminds us that at its very foundation, life is a story of incredible, intricate, and absolutely relentless